On this episode of Beer, Blues, and BS, there's a big fight happening tonight. Although by the time you see it, it happened like a month ago. But there's a big fight tonight, and hey, I'm going to try and watch it and report on it. Will that work? You'll have to find out. There's going to be a lot of talking about fighting and combative sports and pop culture and all of that because, you know, it's what's going on. So it's the big thing to talk about, and we're going to be all over that. So get ready. This is going to be a good show, an exciting show, a different show, but you'll have a great time. And that great time is going to start real soon because you're in a good place. Welcome to the show.
It's Howard Blues and the Mark Kidder. Work all beverage, porpoises, enjoy time with friends.
Triple B! Well, the Triple B sucks. Okay? Oh, come on.
Whatever, man. This is Beer, Blues, and BS. Online at beerbluesbs.com.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to Beer, Blues, and BS, the podcast that has a big fight feel, but no Netflix deal. I am your host, the living embodiment of Charlie Brown, Howard Blues, and I'm not here as always with my co-host, the man, the myth, the legend, the Mark Kidder. Hopefully he'll be joining us later in the episode. He had to go take care of some things, you know, and not at the Big D Business Center. But it's okay. I'm not flying solo. I have joining me live from the road, as he tends to do from time to time. It is the official Triple B Armorer, one JS Gunslinger. JS, how you doing tonight?
Howdy Blues! Good to be back again. I know I had to miss last week because the whole sickness and whatnot, but good to be back. I am flying down the highway, down the interstate as we speak. Gonna go do some deer hunting with the old man and hopefully have a good time this weekend. So
that sounds good. And you know, I know I've heard a few weather reports that have like hinted that snow is possible, but I've also heard that it could be in the 50s and pretty pleasant this weekend. So hopefully it's a nice weekend for deer hunting.
I haven't looked at the weather for up there yet. Around here, I think the last one I heard said 40s to 50s for the weekend. So this is some of the nicest deer hunting weather I've ever had.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not complaining about winter just kind of, you know, holding off. You know, I'm enjoying this nice long fall we're having. I'll take the colder temperatures. Just, you know, keep the snow off the ground for a while.
Yeah, I have a feeling that we might get rocked this year with snow, but hopefully I'm wrong.
Well, JS, we might as well jump into everybody's favorite segment on the show, and that is What's on Tap. I know you're driving, but what are you having, good sir? What are you sipping on as you put on the miles and miles?
I am sipping on probably my favorite beverage of all time, a good old homemade cup of coffee. I got a Freedom Fuel Black Rifle coffee. So I've got a 24-ounce mug, or sorry, 20-ounce mug. So I've got 16 ounces of coffee in here, 4 ounces of cream, and a good old shot of maple syrup in there just for good measure.
I'm having, and I actually switched what I'm having around because, hey, you managed to show up. I'm having a beer that you brought, and it's my first time ever having this, and I know it is an absolute favorite of yours. This is one that you brought in. It is the Youngling Traditional Lager is what I am having tonight.
It's about time you try one.
Yeah, it has been on the list. I just finally getting around to it. Says be 21 or above to enjoy, and you know, it doesn't really. As much as we've had this on the show, you would think I would know the alcohol by volume on it, but that's okay.
I believe it is 4.2.
That sounds about right. Yeah. That's not too bad. It's got a bit, I was gonna say it has a bit of a weedy taste to it, which I'm not always quite the fan of. But I mean, for a fairly simple traditional lager, it's pretty good.
It's not the world's best beer. It is one of my all-time favorites, but it is just a good all-around beer. Like you can have that with a steak. You can have that with breakfast. I mean, a steak. Any meal or occasion, a Yuengling goes good with.
Yeah, I could see that. This is definitely the type of beer that you could have at any time. It's not. I'm going to say it's nothing special, but I mean that in it's not a special occasion sort of thing. It's not like, oh, here's the Imperial, stout that I only drink in wintertime.
Yeah. It's not a winter beer. It's not a summer beer. It's not summer shandy. You don't want a summer shandy when it's 20 below zero. It just doesn't fit right. But you don't want an Imperial stout when it's 95 degrees either. So this one, good all around, all season. It's just good.
Yeah. I'm enjoying it. I will probably enjoy it the rest of this episode. I've already drank quite a bit of it for usually as slow of a drinker as I am, but I've been sitting here.
What do you got for a rating on that one?
I would probably give it a solid 4.
There we go.
It's good. It's fine. Nothing that I would really knock it for, so it's good.
Well, I'm glad you like it. I had to smuggle that across 7 states to get that back here. Believe the one that you got came all the way from Atlanta, Georgia.
It's at least we have audio. I seem to be having some internet issues. So
my connection is a little bit spotty. I am beaming all the way out into higher Earth orbit and then back to you. So while traveling 80 mile an hour down the interstate, so it's
Yeah, I mean it's got some challenges. The reason I say that, while I have been sitting here since 8:00 waiting for the show and waiting for people, I don't know if you know this, JS, but tonight is the night of the Tyson versus Paul fight.
I do, and I was going to watch it, and then we started making this trip, so I have been unable to watch Jake Paul lose.
I have been watching it and was keeping it on in the background as something that we could comment on. And just recently, my internet decided, you don't need to watch this. So I just have a spinning circle with Netflix at 25%. And it just ran a speed test, and it's your internet's fine. It's fast. Great.
Well, there's probably 25 billion people watching this fight right now, so I wouldn't be surprised if it crashed Netflix servers.
Yeah, and that could be it, which is a shame. So if it comes back on, it comes back on. But I've seen the first 2 fights. I was a little behind because I had to put the kids to bed. The first fight was an interesting thing to watch, I guess I could put. Because the fighters Nunes and Goya, they're both kind of new to boxing, and so their past credentials is Nunes, who's from Brazil. He's apparently an influencer with a fairly large following, so social media influencer, and then Goya is an actor in India, so he's been in several Bollywood films.
Nice.
And The commentators on it had a great line, that this was a sloppy fight but fun to watch. Goya did a lot of taunting in it, a lot of hands down, a lot of walking away, a lot of strutting. One thing that was kind of unsportsmanlike, he got booed. He pushed. He actually kind of got around behind Nunes, kind of grabbed him, pushed him into the corner, and then proceeded to dry hump him in a sign of humiliation.
Wow.
So, not something you see in boxing all that often.
Nice. Did the other guy at least turn around and get a good wallop or two after that? Or?
No, not really. Goya was clearly the better boxer. But Roy Jr., who is a famous boxer and one of the commentators tonight, he put it, this Goya guy would be better if he was like better conditioned, but clearly with the caliber of fighters he's fighting over in India, he thinks this is all the shape he needs to be in. So, I mean, there's some great digs throughout this. Goya would end up winning all 6 rounds, so 60-54 in the scoring. It went the full 6 rounds.
Wow.
And then the second fight was actually really good. It was, I think his name was Alberto Ramos. They really just called him Ramos. I never really caught his first name. Versus the current world championship boxing world champion welterweight Mario Barrios. It was pretty good. It went the distance. Ramos got knocked down in the second, and so it was looking like Barrios was dominating up until the 6th round. And in the 6th round, he actually got knocked down. And Ramos actually won like the next 3 rounds and went to all 12, and it ended in a split decision. So one judge scored it for Ramos, one judge scored it for Barrios, and the third judge had it as a tie. So it's a split. Barrios retains the title, but it was a good boxing match. And
the welterweight guys can really keep up the fights. It's not very often where you see the heavyweight guys go more than about 4 rounds. And then they're both gassed.
Yeah. It's as the one commentator put it, he goes, you know that our main event is a big fight feel when this match for the welterweight championship is the appetizer to the main events, which I thought was good. And I've been really thrilled, and probably the best part of me watching this is one of my favorite sports commentators of all time, one Mauro Ranallo, is actually calling the fights. And I don't know if you're familiar with Mauro Ranallo. He's this interesting guy. He suffers from being bipolar, but he has found kind of his way into this sports commentating. He does a lot of MMA fighting. He worked for the WWE for a while. That ended in poorly. But he's got this great way of, like, the stuff he says is just great. It's sometimes funny. It's got pop culture references in it. It's great. At one point during the Barrios fight, one of the other commentators commented that Barrios was now bleeding from the nose, and within an instant, Ronaldo jumped in and said, "Yeah, he's leaking like a government document." And it's like, oh, this is good. This is so good. Kidder also loves Ronaldo. So yeah, I'm sure he's a little disappointed that
it was Mean Gene Okerlund that was doing it, but I don't think he's here anymore.
That who's? Oh, Mean Gene. Yeah, he passed away a couple of years ago now.
Yeah, that's what I thought. He was a pretty good commentator.
He was. He really was. He was a good backstage kind of interview more than calling the fights. But yeah, he was good at that. There are some of those guys who are just excellent at what they do. And then there are some that are just terrible. Just terrible.
Did you know that before Gene Okerlund became a wrestler, he was actually in a band called Gene Carroll and the Shades?
I did not know that.
You see, every now and then I can drop some WCW knowledge on you guys.
I never really watched WCW. That was that product came and went kind of before like my family had like cable. So
yeah, I we didn't have it either, but my friend that lived in town did. So that was the only time I ever got to watch them. The only reason I know that little tidbit of information is because it was on KFYR as one of their trivia questions. That's the only reason I know that.
That's still, it's funny how you can learn fun trivia like that. Just again, the more you read, the more you listen, the more you pay attention to stuff, you get to experience all of these things. So, but yeah, if the fight ever comes back, I'll try and let you guys know. But currently, my internet is now Netflix is restarting, so it has.
I've always been a Tyson fan, just due to his just sheer physical abilities. I mean, he's kind of a loose cannon and not mentally stable, but his physical abilities, especially like at his peak, were absolutely unmatched.
Yeah, I remember getting to see one Tyson fight, and if I recall, and I don't remember who he was fighting, it wasn't the famous Evander Holyfield fight, but it was one, and it ended quickly. Like Tyson knocked the guy out. I think it was in like either round 1 or round 2. And I remember like waiting the whole night to watch Tyson fight, because we didn't get to watch those sorts of things often as a kid. It was just kind of one of those, we were lucky. We had a neighbor who invited my dad to come over and watch. And so
right,
we all got to. And yeah, I remember it was like a 1 or 2 round and it was over. And it's like, that's it. And it was so quick, so fast that they actually they actually like found two, like they had like a backup set of fighters who weren't like on the actual card, but were there in case the main event went quick, so there could be one more fight.
Yeah, I want to say it, and I don't know for sure. I'm guessing, or I'm trying to recall from memory some of the stats. I watched a little documentary on it a long time ago, but his stats were like 34-0, and all but 2 of them were a knockout. And my numbers aren't exact. I'm close, but I remember it was something like all but 2 of his fights ended in a TKO.
Yeah, he was dominant. You have to give him that. There's a reason he was known as, the baddest man on the planet.
Yeah, and I am not a Jake Paul fan. I think the guy's a moron. And so I really hope Tyson just owns him into the dirt.
Yeah, I'm not much of a Jake Paul fan myself. I'm more watching this because one, we have a podcast that needs content, so there's that. But 2, it's a chance to see Tyson fight again. I'm just curious, like how does he hold up?
Yeah, I mean the guy's 57 years old.
58.
58, yeah, sorry, 58 years old. Jake Paul was what, 27?
Yep.
Somewhere in there. And I mean, you know, Jake Paul is like in the peak physical condition of his life, and and Tyson is 58 years old. I just really hope that he just destroys him, and that it's not rigged. Like like you know, that's my one like glimmer of hope for this fight is that Tyson is an interesting character, but when it comes to boxing, I'm not going to say his morals are great, but he is focused on one thing and one thing only, and that is winning. The Evander Holyfield thing, Holyfield had been headbutting him the entire match, and he pointed it out to the ref numerous times, and the ref didn't do anything about it. And it was after like the sixth or seventh time that he got headbutted by Holyfield that he finally had enough of it. And that's why he bit his ear off. It doesn't make it better.
Well, I mean, this is a guy who, when you think about it, as impressive as he is, he has found his way into all sorts of pop culture beyond just his boxing career. In fact, I don't know if you know this. In Street Fighter 2, you know, the big bad guy is M. Bison.
Yep.
And then there's a boxing character who's named Balrog.
Well, right?
Well, it was one of those in the Japanese version. Balrog is named M. Bison. But when they ported it over to America, they switched the name because they were afraid of a lawsuit. So they switched names around on all of them. I think, yeah. So that's where that comes from is, yeah, they didn't want to get sued by him. So that's why in the United States version, if you've played Street Fighter, you always know that the big end boss is M. Bison and the boxer is Balrog. And that's, again, they switched it to avoid a lawsuit. And I actually think that the end boss in the Japanese version, I think he's actually Vega. They switched a couple of them around. So it's just kind of
I was a big Street Fighter fan when I was young, so
same.
Yeah, I did not know that they had switched those.
And it was all to avoid that lawsuit. But yeah, the original Balrog is based off of Mike Tyson.
Interesting.
Yeah, so it's just kind of a fun fact that I enjoy. But that tells you something when you get to be that big that they're working you into video games. I mean, yes, he's in Mike Tyson's Punch Out, but
right,
you know, when you're getting like parodied in Street Fighter, and there's not a lot of like parody in Street Fighter, you know. It's not like
he's been in a handful of movies too. He was, when he was in The Hangover. He was in Hitman 2. They had him and Donnie Yen had an awesome fight scene in Hitman 2.
Yeah, I remember watching that one, and that one was pretty good. That was pretty good. So yeah, he's done a lot, you know. Just even beyond boxing. So I'm hoping that Netflix will eventually work out here. I'm now up to like 76%. So maybe we'll get to cover it. But it's not looking great so far. But
so little conspiracy theory, they'll crash the network. It'll come back on live with Tyson laying on the mat and Jake Paul holding his hands up.
Yeah, I don't know that that'll happen because there's too many people in the audience. I mean, this is taking place in AT&T Stadium. Yeah, so this is a stadium show. They clearly have been paying attention to like the WWE presentation style because they have like kind of the same ramp that they've used at Royal Rumble. So it's kind of comes down and it hooks a little bit. They got LEDs on all the ring posts. It's big video packages. Damn show had the Dallas Cowboy cheerleaders dancing to Thunderstruck at the beginning of the show.
I'm gonna have to go back and watch that when I get back home. So,
yeah, it's In that case, sorry if I spoiled the first two fights, but now you can enjoy watching the. I mean, the second one it's a good fight. That's for sure.
I don't watch a whole lot of boxing, very little. I don't watch a whole lot of MMA or any of them, but every now and then I do enjoy a good boxing match.
Yeah, I don't watch a ton of boxing myself. I used to follow it a little bit more when I was a kid, like in high school and such. And I was never like following. But every now and then, if it was on, I might throw it on just as kind of background noise. Look up every now and then, and check it out. MMA, I never got fully into that one. I kind of missed the boat. I will still watch it. I just don't know who. Like, I'm not in on it where I can go, oh, it's so and so, and he's got this record. In fact,
I know a handful of fighters, but I couldn't tell you any of their numbers at all. I know who some of them are, and that's kind of it. But I'll watch an MMA match. If it's Ronda Rousey. But no, I watch one here and there, but I don't care too much about it. There's too many of them like Conor McGregor that are just loud morons that unfortunately can back up what the everything they're spewing. But
yeah,
I enjoy watching Anderson Silva. He's, for the most part, he's very humble, but he's a really, really good fighter, and he does some dramatic stuff in the ring. There's a Russian guy, like Petrov or something like that. I can't remember his name. That guy is just an animal, but he's very, very humble in the ring, inside and outside the ring. Not a loudmouth. He's not, flipping off to everybody. But when you get in the ring, he just destroys them.
I know a little bit, and I will watch it here and there where I get the when I get the opportunity. But Gitter and I, we have joked because there's been many a time that we've shown up at like a Buffalo Wild Wings, and just to have dinner and a beer or two, and there'll be a UFC fight on or such, and because we don't know anybody, we pick them based off trunk color. Someone else will go, well, I'll take the guy in the red trunks. I'm like, okay, I got the guy in the black, and we'll just kind of have fun just picking because we don't know anything about them. Again, just to make something out of watching it, it's. Yeah. But I don't have I don't have too much of a problem with like watching MMA or, I'm not one of those who thinks, oh, it's too violent. It's not always my favorite. I like the more exciting fights with it. Sometimes it can get into a little lazy ground and pound and it's not as, exciting, but
yeah,
I enjoy a good fight. So
yeah, the middleweight ones were probably some of the best ones. The lightweight ones, they just chase each other around the ring the whole time. The heavyweight guys just go in the middle of the ring, punch each other a few times, and then one of them ends up on top of the and just starts pounding. But the middleweight ones, those guys are all over the place. They're both swinging for the fences. They're all over the ring. One will be down, he'll get back up. The other guy will be down, he'll get back up. And they're going all over. And then they're still acrobatic enough to where you'll get like a spinning hook kick or like a windmill or stuff like that. Just some weird off the wall stuff every now and then too. So
yeah, it's one of those. It's quite the sport, and there are some impressive things that I've seen in like the highlight reels, and it's just like, okay, that is honestly kind of cool, Yeah. The really interesting thing though about, you start watching some of these things like like MMA, and you can watch a fight just be done in like one good punch, and it makes you rethink all those Hollywood fight films you've seen where they hit each other at least 30, 40 times with bare fists, and you're just, and nothing, like, it doesn't slow them down. It doesn't, do anything like that. And you can watch an MMA fight where guy gets kicked in the thigh 8 or 9 times and he's now limping because that really does hurt. So.
Yeah. I'm just about to tap in here, so I'll give you a heads up. Service drops off on the other side of tapping. So you might be on your own for a little bit, but we'll keep running this to see how it goes. But Muay Thai fights are fun to watch. Because those guys are nuts.
Yeah.
I mean, they will absolutely beat the crap out of each other. They'll knock each other. I mean, and Muay Thai, for the most part, they don't ground and pound. Everything is done standing. So, they'll knock the guy to the ground, walk over to him, open back up, they'll both reset, and then they'll go at it again. It's a lot different than some of the other ones where, like even MMA where, the ref has to back them off for a minute, and over the top taunting and, whatever, or they go back to their corners. Oh, the Muay Thai guys, they're cordial at the same time when they're just beating the hell out of each other.
Yeah. There is, I had a roommate in college for a while. He's really big into fighting and martial arts and all of that. And I remember him introducing me to a film that he was really big on. It's called Unbach.
Unbach. That is a great movie. Yep.
Yeah, and that's all. Like, the whole point of that movie was to showcase just how tough Muay Thai fighters were.
Yeah, that was Tony Jaa in that one.
Yes.
And if Tony Jaa is an excellent actor and fighter, but it's not all Muay Thai that he uses. He mixes some other styles in there as well. And so it's really cool how he takes 2 or 3 different styles. Like, he's got Muay Thai, he's got Jeet Kune Do, there's some Taekwondo in there. There's 3 or 4 different martial arts that he mixes together in his fighting style, and it's really impressive to watch the guys that can take multiple different styles. It's very heavy on Muay Thai, but it's always impressive to me. I studied a lot of different styles and done a lot of different ones. So it's really impressive to me when guys that get at a top level can take and incorporate multiple different styles into a fight scene or into an actual fight. Yeah.
I mean, those guys are just, I don't care who you are. You watch some of those things and the physicality that they bring to being able to do that stuff. I mean, even if you take what a lot of people consider a comedic, martial arts guy like Jackie Chan, and you look at the stuff he does, even that is physically impressive.
Yeah. Jackie Chan is I know he's an actor, but he is a very highly skilled and very accomplished martial artist. Bruce Lee, or not Bruce Lee, of course, but I can't remember the guy's name now. Jet Li, Donnie Yen, Scott Atkinson is phenomenal. Chow Yun Fat is quite good, especially, Chow Yun Fat is not a small guy. And the stuff he can do is crazy. So there's a certain number of actors that are really, really good. Brandon Lee was another one. Trying to think.
What's his name? Michael Jamal White. I don't know if you've seen his stuff. He's pretty good. Yeah, there's some of those guys who the stuff that they can do is just it is impressive. Here's one for you to look up, JS, sometime when you need an interesting laugh. Do you know who Eddie Hall is? Eddie Hall is he's a strongman competitor out of the UK. A couple years back, won the whole thing, World's Strongest Man. He did an MMA fight where it was him versus two like tiny like featherweight guys at the same time.
It was a K1 fight.
Yeah.
I watched that one.
I did too. That was pretty crazy to watch.
Yep. I didn't get to watch the entire fight when Eddie Hall fought Halfthor Bjornsson too, and I didn't get to watch the whole fight, but I did catch the clip of the ending. Halfthor did end up winning that one, but it wasn't for lack of trying. I mean, Halfthor is 6'8" and almost 400 pounds. He's just, I mean, Eddie is not small either. Eddie is 6'2", 6'4", and Halfthor makes him look tiny.
Yeah. No, Eddie is. Yeah, I didn't see that one. I wanted to.
I do follow the strongman stuff. I'm not going to say closely, but all of the stuff of that nature, the strongman is probably the stuff I follow the closest. I watch a lot of Brian Shaw's stuff, like a lot of his shorts and his Facebook stuff and whatnot. So I see a lot of his stuff. The History Channel special with Eddie Hall, Brian Shaw, and there was one other guy too, an older guy, Mick something, where they go across the country and do strongman challenges. Everything from lifting pianos to cannonballs. They went over to Ireland and did the Dublin Stone and all kinds of stuff like that. So that one I did catch a fair amount of.
I did get Netflix to come back up. Unfortunately, I've kind of had to go back away, so I'm back at the in-between fight stuff. But they have some, like, you can tell this isn't quite like a full, like, major production, because the current panel that's on discussing the fights, there's a gal who I don't know who is moderating. She's got Cedric the Entertainer as kind of her co-host, and right now they're interviewing Jerry Jones and Michael Irving, the former Dallas Cowboys player. So the owner of the Cowboys and a former Dallas Cowboys player.
What the hell?
Yeah. They're really. It seems from the subtitles like Jerry Jones is espousing how great Jake Paul is in being able to kind of pull this together and get Tyson to fight. And of course he's happy to sell it because it's at his stadium. So
I mean, you call Tyson names for that long, he's gonna fight you.
Yeah. Yep, that's for sure. Man, I will say this. I get that they're in between fights, but there are a lot of empty seats. I know that's the one thing I never liked about boxing is like they have a lot of downtime in between fights. And yeah, there seems to be like whole sections that are empty. Again, it could be that everybody's out buying the merch or getting a churro.
Well, they got to get their $15 beers somehow.
Yeah, I'm sure. I will say there is nothing sponsorship wise for Prime, so Jake is not doing anything to promote the Little Brothers sports drink.
That's funny.
So
Speaking of $15 beer and high quality entertainment, the wife and I went and got Dropkick Murphys when they came to town here.
yes, Kidder was wearing his shirt before he had to duck out. And I realized that we hadn't talked about the concert. So how was Dropkick Murphys?
I had a blast. We had spots right up on the rail, right up front row. We moseyed a little faster, but Kidder got distracted by the 75 people that he knew. So we would have gotten spots right center stage, but we got pushed off to the side a little bit because we were waiting. We had a great.
That was good. How are the other bands? I was going to ask Kidder this, and if Kidder shows up, I'll ask him as well. But what did you think of the other two bands that played before?
I don't remember that. One of them was like Screech or Scratch. I think Scratch was really entertaining. I couldn't understand a word they said. And partly because of my hearing deficiencies, and partly because he's got a real thick Irish accent. And then with the loud kind of yelling singing, it was very difficult for me to understand anything he said. However, they were great. He had a drum set where he would like sit down, and the drum set was like in between his knees, and he played with sticks that were in like L-shaped sticks. So it was almost like he was playing drums with a set of tapanas, like a set of nightsticks. It was like the old school like LAPD nightsticks. That's what his drumsticks looked like, and it was really cool. So he had one drum in front of him, a kick drum, and one other small tom or something in there, and that was all he had. There was really nothing else to his set, but it was really entertaining. So I did enjoy them. Pennywise was the next one. They were good. I don't know who Pennywise is. I've never heard of Scratch either, but they're from Ireland. They're an Irish band. I wouldn't expect to know them. Pennywise is out of California. I've never listened to anything Pennywise, at least unintentionally. I didn't know who they were. They weren't bad. I liked the energy they brought. They have decent music. Again, it was really hard for me to understand anything they said, mainly because my hearing loss. But they did put on a good show.
Oh, it's good. Sounds like you guys had a good time. So
yeah, we did. It was entertaining. I don't go to a whole lot of concerts. It's just not something that the wife and I, that's not where we choose to spend our entertainment money. But and the other reason is the with my hearing loss and my hearing issues, concerts are really challenging for me because it's so loud that it instantly sets off the tinnitus. And then most of the time I wear earplugs at them. So most of the time if I know the band, I can tell what they're saying. But most of them, if I don't know the band or don't know the songs, I have no idea what they're saying. I can hear the music, and then whatnot. It's great, but I have no idea what they're saying. So it's difficult. Concerts are difficult for me, so we just don't go to a whole lot of them.
Yeah, the wife and I, we don't tend to go to a whole lot, either. But there's been a couple. When we lived in Montana, we traveled over to Spokane to see the Trans-Siberian Orchestra. We've seen them, I think, 3 or 4 times.
That would be a good one to go to.
That one is an excellent. If you ever get the chance,
yeah,
that one's worth it. And they're not so loud,
Yeah.
But they're great. They put on a great show. The last concert that we went to was Pentatonics when they played in Fargo.
I missed out on them. I really enjoy their music.
Yeah, my wife's a huge fan of theirs, and she graduated from nursing school, and I thought, you know what, I just happened to learn that they were playing Fargo, and I'm like, this would be a great graduation gift. I was very late to the game, so we were in like the furthest away nosebleeds that you could possibly be in the Fargo Dome. I don't think anybody could have gotten further away from the stage than we were. So,
Nice.
But it was fine. Like, you know, most of those big like bands, they have enough, you know, like screens and, you know, you can hear the music fine. So, but we had a great time. The concert that I really wanted to go and I missed out on it because it was sold out. My wife tried to get me tickets for it a couple of years ago, almost 6 years ago. The Foo Fighters were playing in Sioux Falls, and I'm not a Foo Fighters fan, but the opening band is a band called the Struts. And I don't know if you're familiar with the Struts at all.
Not off the top of my head. That doesn't mean I haven't heard them, but I couldn't tell you who they are.
I usually recommend them. They're a rock band from the UK. They were over there, couldn't get on the radio. Nobody would give them a chance. So they took the gamble, packed up, moved to the United States. Almost instantly got hired to be the opening act for the Rolling Stones during the Rolling Stones kind of last tour that is still going on, I think. But they're a band that believes in just having like fun. They want people to come to their show and have fun. So it's good rock and roll music, but it's very fun. It's very upbeat. It's the lead singer is a little bit of a cross between like Freddie Mercury, like in kind of his style and dress, mixed in with who does he usually else get thrown in there with as a cross? It's been a while since I've had to share that. But yeah, he has just this big, again, persona, and they're out there having fun. I love a lot of their music. So they're fun, but they were the opening act for the Foo Fighters, and I wanted to go just to see the Struts play. They're still on the list. One of these days, maybe I'll get to see them play. I have watched somebody put it up on YouTube, and you can find it. Their whole set from Lollapalooza Chicago from a couple years ago, and they're fun. You know, they're having fun with the audience. They're interacting with the audience. They're trying to get the audience to do, you know, to get into it, and really having a great time. And I give credit to the lead singer because I've been to a couple of concerts where, at least one of them with Kidder, where people were buying like the $10 beers and then just throwing them, like not drinking them, just throwing them. And this happened at a Struts concert, and the lead singer actually, like in between songs, is like, "Hey, if you're one of those guys throwing the beer and ruining other people's show because they're getting hit with, you know, with cups of beer, well, you might as well just go and f*** off."
And future Howard, cue the button.
I knew I was going to have that when I started that story, but to me, you know, it's yeah. I did a show where they did that, and it was just ugh.
Dropkick Murphys was kind of the same way. They're very interactive with the crowd. The lead singer stayed out on the stage afterward for a long time. Was signing autographs and like anything you'd hand him, the guy had signed. But during the show, there was a guy that was crowd surfing, and he got kicked up front. You know, security immediately swarmed him and pulled him over the thing, and you know, kind of, you know, recycled him the first time. Well, he did it again, and the second the police department dropped him, and Dropkick Murphys stopped the show and was like, "Officer, no, like you can't throw him out. Like you gotta, like this is how we do shows. I know it's different. Like don't throw him out. Like you gotta let him back in." And they did. So they were really interactive with the crowd, and he's like, "All right, if you guys are gonna do that, make yourself a little circle in here and then mosh all you want. Just don't hurt each other."
I've not been in any concerts where there's been a mosh pit, thankfully. The same show where we were getting occasionally splashed with beer. There's a story, and I've told it on the podcast before, but I'll share it again. Kidder and I were at this concert, and we had found this great spot. It was actually with a group of, I'm pretty sure they were NDSU football players, because this was at the Fargo Dome.
Nice.
Because these guys were big, and they had formed a protective circle around their very short girlfriends. But there wasn't quite enough of them to like fill in the circle. So like Kidder and I found a spot right at like the top of the circle, which is great because the girlfriends were short. So, you could see up to the stage, and, these guys were, as I said, they were in this protected formation. Anyway, we were sitting there enjoying, I think it was the main act. And all of a sudden this body comes over my head, kicks Kidder in the head, and this body just falls in front of us. This middle schooler gets up, and this short girl who was in this protective circle just starts beating on this kid, just pushing him, shoving. What do you think you're doing? Da, 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 just giving him the right act and such. And Kidder and I had kind of turned to look and see like what's going on. And you see these kids' buddies like not too far behind us, and you could just see them like cringing as they're watching their pal kind of get whooped on by this girl. I'm like these guys won't try that again. So
yeah, I've been to I think 3 of the Garth Brooks concerts. He puts on a really good show. We always have a blast when we go to his. We've seen Toby Keith, Big and Rich, Dropkick Murphys now. There's been 1 or 2 others, but not a whole lot of them. Like I said, it's just not something that the wife and I really focus our energy on. We don't mind them, but we got other things to do. So yeah. I'm not sure if you can tell in the camera or not, but it's a wee bit foggy here.
Yeah.
I can see about 50 yards or less. With the lights on, it's about 50 feet.
Wow. Well, as you drive through that horror movie that you're going through and that, my timer went off, which means normally this is where I would say, Kidder, we've been talking for quite a while. It's time we wrap this episode up. But he's not here, which means I got to do the cheap plugs. So, hey, it's a rare treat where you get to see Howard try and do this as best I can.
I would say I'd do the cheap plugs for you, but I haven't memorized Kidder's speech yet, so.
It's all right. I think I got this. So let's start off with the basic one, the easiest one, and that is where you can find us in cyberspace. It is our home. It is beerbluesbs.com. That is our website. It's where you can find all the information that you could possibly want to know about the show. And hey, our webmaster finally got off his ass and updated some things. So you're welcome. We've got some new links and things up there, but it is a place you could go find all the links to our social media, because we're on Facebook, we're on Instagram. You can check us out. Every now and then there's bonus content on those. It's rare, but it does happen. So make sure you check it out and are following those. Of course, one of the big things that is on the website, and actually, JS, I'll let you know this, it's no longer on the website. We are closing down our merch store. It is on a going out of business sale. We've been using Spring since almost the start of this podcast, and we've decided to move on. And so in a last-ditch effort to maybe help you out. We are getting rid of as much stuff as we can, or at least giving you the biggest discount we can. So we got a couple of discount codes out there. You can try Triple B10, so BBB10, the number 10, to get 10% off your whole order, or BBB ship to get free shipping off of our spring store. The link for that is still down in the show notes. So that would be the best way to find how to get there, since, as I said, it's no longer on the website. And as a bonus to that, if you do happen to make use of our going out of business and you spend a whopping $200 on merch, no tax, no shipping, but just on the merch, JS, who's been my kind fill-in co-host tonight, has promised to send you a jar of either pickles or salsa free of charge. So come for the merch, get yourself a jar of free pickles or salsa. So make sure you do that. It's only going to be up for a little bit longer. Come January, we shutting that thing down. But that doesn't mean that you can't ever get Triple V merch. That's right, we have a new store. It's over through Streamlabs. Now if you go to beerbluesbs.com and you click the merch button, it'll take you there. There's some great stuff on there. I actually was eyeing a few pieces myself, but I still got to, do the going out of business sale first. But there's some great stuff there. Also, while you're over at Streamlabs, you can also subscribe to the show. Pitch in a little money, give a little bit back to the show. We put all the money we make back into improving the quality of this show, and it's a way to help keep us doing this. So feel free to go and donate. We greatly appreciate that. As for the show itself, if you like the video version and want to see our happy smiling faces or the fog that JS is driving through, check us out on YouTube. If you are like JS and maybe you're driving through your own patch of fog and you need a little bit of entertainment, hey, we can come with you in the audio format. That's right. This show is on all of the audio platforms. So choose your favorite, whether it's Spotify, Google Podcasts, YouTube Podcasts, iTunes, or is it now? It's now Apple Podcast. Wow. I just dated myself with the whole iTunes reference. Anyway, you choose your service. Just look for Beer Blues BS. You can download, take us with. We're the perfect thing to listen to on those long, long drives. And that's pretty much it. There's some other links. Future Howard's got them down at the bottom, and they're down in our show notes. But I think that pretty much wraps up the cheap plugs, which brings us to final thoughts. JS, do you have a final thought as you cruise the highways there?
As I'm driving through the fog and reminiscing on several horror movies that I've watched, if you're going to be armed, be heavily armed, so that when you come across that horror movie, you can be the guy to end it.
That's a very good final thought. Yes. Be more like Arnold when it comes to horror movies. Yeah.
Yes.
That's good. And with that, I mean, I'm not going to give my own final thought, but that's because I'm now in the kidder role, and he doesn't usually give a final thought. So, host's advantage.
One, I can prepare. Howie, what do you got for final thoughts?
I'll maybe say this. I don't necessarily have a final thought, but I do have a big box, and I'll open it up next episode.
What's in the box, Howie? What's in the box?
There's something in the box. I think Kidder will be excited for what's in the box, or he'll probably question my life choices. One of those things. Hopefully he'll be here so we can get his reaction to it. So we'll find out. But with that, I get to say the final three things, which is make sure to always keep your glass at least half full. There'll be free beer tomorrow. And, watch out as you travel down that old foggy Tuscan highway. Good night. We'll see you all later, everybody.
You have been listening to a UA production of Beer, Blues, and BS. If you enjoyed the show, help others find out about it by rating the show or leaving a review at your podcast listening service of choice. Thanks for listening, and may your glass never be empty. UA Productions presents A Glimpse Behind the Curtain.
Evening.
How's it going? Are we into episode 1 yet, or are we way behind?
We are way behind. I don't know how much Kidder texted you. He got called into work. It is what it is. He does have his multicam running, which is why if you saw his space, it's just recording like his empty room.
There you go.
And he said that if anybody hopped in, I should just get going. So,
Hopefully the wind noise won't be too bad for you, but I'm on a different set of earbuds here than what I normally have. My head, I didn't grab my headset normally, so
yeah, looks like you're out cruising the highways.
yeah, I'm on the way up to my mom and dad's place. We're gonna go deer hunting for the weekend, so
All right, not bad.
you know, wouldn't be so bad. And I just got on the interstate 30 seconds ago. You know, nothing like a good 4-hour drive at 11 o'clock at night.
Well, I mean, it's only technically 10 o'clock, so you know.
Oh, cool. My clock's off. That's all. All right. Oh, I don't feel so bad then.
Yeah, it's not too bad. Well, I guess if it's you and me, we might as well start the show. And you know,
Is there a lot of background? Is there a lot of background noise in your instrument? I can't really make it too much quieter, but
you're good. You're coming across a little garbled, but I mean that's just kind of the way reception is when you're doing this from the road. So
okay.
Well,
Works for me.
it works for me too because I don't know when Kidder's going to be back, and I don't really want to be sitting here till midnight.
I don't blame you.
So they'll we might as well start, and we'll just it'll be what it'll be of an episode, and if Kidder gets back, he gets back, and who knows.
Sounds good.
I might just call this episode a hot mess.
That works.
Yeah. Well, the one question might look. Oh, good, it's a twist off. Okay, so let's. I'll kick it off then.